What's going on, guys? Katie Welge here for Pine Sports with my Daily Dimes. Game 2 of this year's State of Origin will take place this Sunday, June 26th, with the New South Wales Blues looking to push this series to a decider. And with rugby on today's slate for your weekend dimes, I know there would be no one better to bring back on as a guest for their expert picks than VIP rugby capper Graham Collins. Make sure you are hitting that subscribe button and giving this a thumbs up to show some love for the channel. Thrive Fantasy and Pine Sports still have an active promo code for you to use when you sign up for Thrive today, which will get you a 100% match of your first deposit up to $100. Use the promo code PINE and take advantage of all the offers they have available here when you sign up today. It's always a good day to win big with Thrive. With the New South Wales Blues confirmed squad and team for Game 2 after a Game 1 defeat by Queensland 16-10, the series pushes on to their second game of a 3-game set. Graham, I'm excited to hear your picks and breakdown for this Sunday's matchup. Before the series, Queensland has won 22 times and the Blues 16, with 2 series drawn. So what do you foresee happening in the next matchup here?
So for Game 2, Brad Fittler has made a host of changes. He's brought 9 new players into the Origin camp, with 5 of these players coming into the game day setup. So one of these is enforced. Jack Wrighton drops out of the team due to COVID. Also losing out is Tony Staggs, Regan Campbell-Gillard, Ryan Madison and Tariq Sims. The new additions are Matt Burton, who will be making his debut in the left centre spot for Jack Wrighton. We also have Angus and Stephen Crichton, who aren't related, but are 2 tenacious guys. And finally, Jake Travojevic, and one of my favourite players in the NRL, Siosifa Talakai. So compare that to Queensland, they've had to make 2 enforced changes. Ruben Cotter last Friday tore his hamstring, and Xavier Coates in Game 1 of Origin has done his ankle and is set to miss out for another couple of weeks. So with that said, my pick for Game 1 is the Blues money line. There's a lot of stats and there's a lot of history in the Blues' favour for Game 2. They've won 3 of the last 4 games at a neutral venue. They've won the last 4 Origin 2 games. And in the last 10 years, the Queensland team have only won Tests 1 and 2 one time in the last 10 years. So that's even considering this Queensland team won 8 in a row. They only were able to win Test 1 and Test 2 once in that time, which just shows how difficult and how very mentally and physically drained this game can be. Finally, Queensland have won 7 of the last 10 Game 2s, and 4 of them, following a Game 1 loss of 1-12, they've gone on to win by 13 plus in the last 2. So can that trend continue for a third time? I'm not too sure, because if we look at the other stats, 9 of the last 14 Origin games have been decided by 1-12. So if you're looking for that bit of an extra risk, you can take the Blues to win by 13 plus win margin, which is at plus 280, or you can take the Blues by winning margin of 1-12, which is what I'm leaning with at plus 200. Okay, so for my next pick, I'm going to go for the highest scoring half to be the second half of this game. And that comes in the odds of minus 137. So like I said, this game is being played at a neutral venue. It's in Optus Stadium. And the last time these 2 teams played here, the Blues came out on top, winning 36 points to 6. And I'm not sure that will happen again, but it's a very warm, it's a very humid place up in Perth. I think based on the speed that these guys play at, the average speed of an Origin game works out at about 119 kilometers per hour for the first 20 minutes. If you compare that to an NRL game, the average first 20 minutes is 89 kilometers per hour. So that just shows you the heightened, how much more ferociousness is in this game. And in a humid climate weather like Perth, I can't see that lasting for the whole game. So when guys are sweaty, when they're tired, I think we're going to see points in the second half, and that's what I'm leaning with. A fun stat, in the last 10 years in Game 2, only twice has a player outside of jersey 1-5 scored the first try. So that was back in Taide in 2013, and then also Hodgson back in 2014. So since 2015, up until last year, if you're a fullback, a winger on the left or right, or left side or right side of centre, these are the guys who are scoring the tries. So centres have crossed for the opening try 4 times, and then wingers have crossed for the first try 3 times. So outside backs are going to be the way to go. And just to give you a choice, you're looking at experience versus youth here when we're looking at Queensland versus the Blues. Valentine Holmes has scored a try in 7 of his last Origin games. And then his partner, Dane Gegai, had 12 tries in 20 Origin games. He's joint third highest try scorer in the state of Origin history. And then we go to the young bucks of the Blues. We have Maddie Burton, who's going to be on his debut. He'll be taking the spot of Jack Wrighton, who scored last week. Burton would be very familiar with this team. He came from the Panthers last year. There's 7 Panthers in this team. And when he played centre last year, he scored 20 tries in 32 games. His partner on the right is his former partner from the Panthers, Stephen Crichton. He scored 6 tries in his last 8 NRL games, including the clincher in the grand final last year when he scored an 80-metre interception try. I wouldn't be surprised if he did this on Sunday. And then finally, the wingers. This kind of takes a flip where we had the youth on the Blues in the centres. All the youth is on the wings of the Queensland Maroons. You have Murray Taulagi, who scored 7 tries in his last 9 games. And then you have the sensation that is Selwyn Cobbo, who has 11 tries in his last 7 games. Compare that to the Blues. Brian Toto, we touched on him in the last episode. He scored 2 tries in debut last year. He was kept quite quiet last week, but I think that Brad and Greg Alexander will have a plan to get Toto more involved and more hands-on. And then finally, if I'm leaning one, I think I'll go with this guy, Daniel Tupou. He scored 2 tries in his last 3 Origin games. In game 1, he would have had a very tough matchup against Xavier Coates. They're both 6'3", 6'4" wingers who love to climb up a high and take the ball from an aerial kick. This week, Tupou takes a much easier matchup with Murray Taulagi, who has had 1 or 2 problems with the high ball during the season for the Cowboys. So if I'm leaning somewhere, I'm going to lean with human giraffe. That is Daniel Tupou.
Amazing in-depth analysis for the series. Thank you, Graham, for the insight and your VIP picks, as always. Be sure to lock these in and follow Graham for more content at Gateway G. Links to the Discord where you can find him as well are in the description below. Happy cashing, Dimers, and see you next time.